Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is PWU Daily for April 3rd, 2019. This is our weekly Monday through Friday. I don't know if you can call it weekly or you can call it Monday. I would say it's our Monday through Friday news show where we bring you a bunch of different topics in one video. Again, this show runs every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific right here on the PWU Unlimited YouTube channel. Now, before we get going, I gotta apologize for last night's SmackDown review. So if you guys either were on the show live, in the live chat or whatever, or tried to watch later, you notice that it just cuts out at the end. The reason for that was because my internet went out. So throughout the day, we had some very weird weather here. It would be super sunny and bright. All of a sudden, clouds would roll in, dark thunderstorms. It would get sunny again, and then all of a sudden rain and thunder and lightning and stuff. And that happened like 2 or 3 times yesterday. Cut the power out one time for like 30 seconds, and then I thought, after it hadn't happened for like 2 hours, everything was good. Well, while we were live, it started raining again, and it ended up cutting out my internet. So that's why the SmackDown review just cut short. Basically, like, it couldn't have been at a better time. It was right after we finished talking SmackDown. But if you guys did want to ask SmackDown questions, you can do so tonight on the PWU Unlimited Wednesday show. I'm talking about asking questions and getting your questions answered. You can do that for this show, PWU Daily. Just head over to pwunlimited.net/PWU Daily to get your questions asked. And I do ask you guys one simple thing. Try to keep it timely to the last 24 to 48 hours of news. If you can do so, then just like we did yesterday, maybe your question can get incorporated in one of the day's news stories. Excuse me. So again, if you do want to get your question answered on an upcoming episode of PWU Daily, do so by heading over to pwunlimited.net/PWU Daily. Now, before we get into the news, this week's episode is sponsored by WrestleCrate UK. We'll talk about that a little bit later, though. So, in case you missed some of the bigger stories of the last 24 hours or so, we've got some for you. Last night on SmackDown, it was announced that the Usos will be defending the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships in a fatal 4-way match against Aleister Black and Ricochet, The Bar, and Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura. Sorry, my nose. Crazy itch all of a sudden. Don't you hate when that happens? You're trying to do something, and all of a sudden you just got an itch really bad? Anyways, PW Insider going forward is reporting that John Cena, Glenn Kane Jacobs, and Bray Wyatt are all expected to be in town this weekend for WrestleMania, but it's unclear if all three or if any, we know Cena will, but if any of the other two will be used on the show, or maybe at access events. We'll see if they do get used over the weekend. Also, as we talked about in yesterday's lead story of PWU Daily, Finn Balor will be bringing the Demon gimmick to WrestleMania for the very first time. Also, it was announced that current WWE superstar and WrestleMania 35 competitor Kurt Angle will actually be at StarCast on May 25th. Well, not on May 25th, but the weekend of May 25th. If you guys do want to check out StarCast, but you can't go to New York City, you can watch the whole thing, or at least all the stage shows on Fight TV. They do have a deal going on right now where you can get all of it for only $59. Now, we're going to talk about the bigger stories, and today's a stacked show as we've got 6 stories for you up on the docket, with today's lead story being that Jim Ross has officially signed with All Elite Wrestling. It has been no secret that the reason WWE signed Jim Ross to his last contract with the company was because they didn't want other companies to be able to use him. Jim Ross's contract with WWE did expire this past weekend, and now Jim Ross can do whatever he wants. While speaking with Inside the Ropes, Ross stated that one thing, and really the only thing he wants to do going forward with his career, is work for AEW, be contracted to All Elite Wrestling. He stated that many people on social media keep trying to tell him that his time's up. He's past his prime. Maybe he should give it up. And he thinks that he's got a lot that he can prove and provide for AEW. Well, today, on the newest episode of A Road to Double or Nothing, it was announced that All Elite Wrestling has signed Jim Ross. In the video, you see Cody Rhodes, and I keep forgetting the other guy's name, go to Jim's house. And they're talking to Jim Ross, and Jim Ross is talking about what it would mean for him to work with AEW, talks about stuff that happened to him in his past very briefly. but they don't say in the video exactly what Jim Ross's role with the company is. Well, as soon as that video did drop on the Nightmare Family Cody's YouTube account, they sent out a press release stating that Jim Ross has signed with All Elite Wrestling. Jim Ross will be working as a senior advisor for the company, and stating that his contract is the most lucrative deal in pro wrestling commentary history. So they didn't say in this press release if he's actually on the commentary team 100%, but stating that it's the most lucrative deal in pro wrestling commentary history does lead one to believe that Jim Ross will be on the commentary team for All Elite Wrestling. It's funny to be noted, and at the end of the episode of Road to Double or Nothing, Cody is asked, "Why are you so adamant about getting Jim Ross?" And Cody says simply, "It's Jim fucking Ross." Now, talking about Jim Ross possibly being on the commentary team for All Elite Wrestling, that leads us to our next story. In that same episode of Road to Double or Nothing, they announced the broadcast team for All Elite Wrestling, or at least Double or Nothing. Now, last year at All In, Cody and the Bucks used a number of different people for the broadcast and the production team of All In, but a lot of them they can't anymore because they're signed with other companies. On the latest episode of Road to Double or Nothing, Cody basically announced the broadcast team for Double or Nothing. They did announce that returning from All In last year will be Alicia Atout. She will be serving as the backstage correspondent, basically the backstage interviewer. They also announced the former football analyst Alex Marvez, who we have seen on both AEW live press conferences, will be on commentary alongside former Pro Wrestling Guerrilla PWG announcer Excalibur. Finally, they did announce the former WWE ring announcer and All In ring announcer Justin Roberts will be doing the ring announcing for Double or Nothing. Brandy Rhodes actually put over Justin Roberts for helping her in her career when he really didn't have to when WWE first made her a ring announcer. She stated that, Justin didn't have to help me when I was first made a ring announcer, but he came to me and told me some things and kind of gave me some wisdom that he really didn't have to give me. So that's cool that they've got their full broadcast team now announced. We do know that BJ Whitmer and Billy Gunn are working as backstage producers. We also know that Christopher Daniels is, I want to say, head of talent relations and could be working as a producer as well. So that's really cool that we're finally getting to see who's all working on the team of All Elite Wrestling, and they really got a good team growing there within the company. Now, shifting off of All Elite Wrestling, we got to talk WWE. It was previously reported that the WWE will be returning to Saudi Arabia twice in 2019, with the first show being on May 3rd. Then, last week, a report came out with with most of the WWE's touring schedule for the next year. Missing from that show, or from that list, was the May 3rd Saudi Arabia show, and now, according to the Wrestling Observer, we've got a little more light on why that was missing. Dave Meltzer wrote the following: "The listed schedule does not list the planned 5-3 show in Saudi Arabia, but does list the 11-1 date at King Saudi University Stadium in Riyadh. The 5-3 show, we're told, has been moved to 6-7, June 7th, although that is yet to be officially announced. There were no main brand shows on the schedule after April 30th to May 5th because that trip being planned, so talent may be getting some time off unless they get booked for new arenas. The only thing we heard about the first date is that it was being moved for logistical purposes. Now, we don't know what these quote-unquote logistical purposes actually are, but since this news did come out in today's Wrestling Observer newsletter, many have speculated online that the reason they may have moved the May 3rd date was because it was too close to Ramadan. Ramadan is a very big, holiday, and I don't want to be rude here and say something wrong about this. I'm not really sure 100% what Ramadan is, but it's a religious holiday that is very, very big in that culture, And so maybe I'm not saying that's why they moved it, but that's what a lot of people have been speculating on so far this morning to why they possibly have moved it. But the projected May 3rd show is now being taken place on June 7th. Now, moving forward, the Usos have been a topic for a while now as far as what they're going to do, if they're going to stay with WWE or if they're going to leave with WWE. It's been talked about for months. The basically contract status of the Usos, and now today we've got more clarity. We know exactly what the Usos are doing. According to Mike Johnson of PWU Insider, he is reporting that Jimmy and Jey Uso are officially staying with the WWE as they have agreed to new contracts with the company. Details on the new contracts are unclear, but based off of other contracts recently signed with WWE, it does look like they're going to be with the company for at least 3 years, and this is good. WWE needed to basically get their best tag team. That's debatable, but to me, their best tag team to stay with the company. Because the Usos could have had opportunities to go anywhere. Any company would have been dumb to not sign the Usos if they were to leave the WWE. But with them agreeing to a new contract, like I said, it does look like it's locked them down for at least 3 years, as over the last couple of months, we have heard that WWE has been offering and getting guys to sign 3 to 5 year deals with the WWE. We haven't heard anything else as far as if they got a raise or anything like we did here with the new proposed Becky Lynch contract. So if any more details do come out on the Usos signing a new deal, we'll have it for you right here on Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Now, moving forward, yesterday, before SmackDown Live went on the air, WWE announced that the Rey Mysterio versus Andrade match that was supposed to take place on SmackDown was off because Mysterio suffered a quote-unquote ankle injury. Now, many just believed that this was a storyline kind of deal, that the injury was caused in the match with Baron Corbin on Monday to help put over Baron Corbin, but now we know now that it's a legit injury. Dave Meltzer did write in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter that the injury to Rey Mysterio's ankle is a real injury. WWE will reevaluate Rey Mysterio before WrestleMania, but it's unclear as of this morning if Rey Mysterio will be cleared to challenge Samoa Joe for the United States Championship on Sunday, or if they either need to change or drop the match. Now, I don't think they should drop the match. I think they should keep the U.S. title match on the show, but if they need to change it, you got to look at who's not booked for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Now, I'm not saying that they weren't booked for this reason just in case they needed to be slotted somewhere else, because you can pull anybody from the Battle Royal and put them into this match. But somebody that, surprisingly to me, is not booked would be Kevin Owens, former U.S. champion. Why not put him up against Samoa Joe if you need a different opponent? Unfortunately, it looked like they were going to do something with Rey Mysterio's son, as they had been pushing over the last couple of weeks that Dominic Guerrero, my bad, that ended up not being a real thing. Dominic Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, he's not really your son, even though you were Poppy. Anyways, they did the whole thing where Dominic Mysterio was going to be in the front row cheering on his father. Maybe he'd get involved in the match. We don't know. Hopefully, that can still all go as planned, and we see what the plan is for Dominic. But in my opinion, if they have to change the match, I say go with Kevin Owens. I would have said go with Ali, but he got buried. Well, I don't want to say buried, but he got choked out by Joe on Tuesday. So if you have to change the match, if you have to replace Rey, why not put Kevin Owens in that match? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that's how I would do it if it was up to me. So we'll keep you guys updated throughout the week if we do hear anything else on Rey Mysterio's real, legit ankle injury and if he can get cleared in time for WrestleMania. Now, talking about WrestleMania, we did know that when Lars Sullivan was first slated to be called up to the main roster, he was going to get a huge push. Vince McMahon loved his look and thought he can be a big star. The plan originally was for him to work a program with John Cena starting back in January and culminating at WrestleMania. We didn't know if that would have led to Lars beating John Cena or not, and we may never know that. Now, in an interesting thing, Lars took to Twitter yesterday and kind of teased that he was going to be at WrestleMania. Now, this all stemmed off of a tweet that Elias actually first sent out. Let's pull up that tweet right here. Elias tweeted the following, stating, "I'm a multi-talented, charismatic, unique, unlike any superstar past or present, and beyond that, WWE often doesn't know what to do with me. But at WrestleMania, they get it right. An uninterrupted, full performance is also all I've ever wanted." Now, with that, we think, okay, someone's going to interrupt him at WrestleMania. Somebody has to interrupt him, and a lot of people have been thinking it's John Cena, but maybe it can be Lars Sullivan based off of this tweet that Lars sent out that has since been removed from Twitter. Lars stated, "They don't know what to do with you, huh? I'll tell you what. The old Soulster knows exactly what to do with you. All I'm saying is you better play a good song at Mania." Now, with that tweet being pulled down, it does lead us to believe that maybe Lars Sullivan could be the one to interrupt Elias at WrestleMania. And what bigger way to introduce him to the main roster is to have his first time on the main roster be coming out at WrestleMania. Now, yes, some can say that Cena would get a better reaction because when Cena's music hits to interrupt, everyone's going to go crazy because they know that music. When Lars Sullivan music hits to interrupt, a lot of people, if not most, won't know that music. So I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but I'm saying that it is heavily teased, and the fact that the tweet was pulled, that Lars was made to pull this tweet down, does lead me to believe that there is a good possibility that this could be the thing that goes down. So we'll have to see exactly how it all gets played out at WrestleMania. One thing that I can say with like 99% guarantee is that I believe that Elias is being interrupted come WrestleMania. Now finally, talking about WrestleMania, I want to bring you an update to the weather for WrestleMania. Now last week we brought you a weather update, and now, whoops, wrong screen. Sorry about that. Last week, we brought you an update to the weather, and now we want to bring you another update to the weather as things have actually changed. So as we look at weather, we're going to look at the weather for New York, Brooklyn, and East Rutherford, where they're holding WrestleMania. In New York, on Thursday, April 4th, it's going to be partly cloudy, no % chance of rain, 59 high, 47 low. On Friday, April 5th, 90% chance of rain, high of 42, low of 41. On Saturday, for the G1 Supercard in New York City, there's a 20% chance of rain in the morning, 68 high, 48 low. And then going forward, there's a 10% chance of rain on Sunday, a 40% chance of rain on Monday, and a 30% chance of rain on Tuesday morning. When we look at the weather in Brooklyn, where a lot of events are taking place for WWE, including TakeOver, the Hall of Fame, Raw, SmackDown, and Access, no rain on Thursday, so that's good when everybody's first getting into town. But on Friday, 80% chances of rain. Now remember, you're going to the Barclays Center for TakeOver, just keep that in mind. Or if you're going to Pier 12 for Access, 80% chance of rain. High of 52, low of 42. Saturday, Hall of Fame. We've got a 20% chance of rain. High of 64, low of 47. Sunday, nothing that I know of taking place in Brooklyn. 20% chance of rain, just cloudy. On Monday, for Monday Night Raw, there's a 40% chance of rain. High of 61, low of 52. And for SmackDown on Tuesday, there is a chance of rain in the morning. 30% chance. High of 62, a low of 44. And then looking over at East Rutherford for WrestleMania and MetLife Stadium. On Thursday, there's no rain. Cool. They're working on the set. Everything's getting going. But then Friday, it's an open stadium. They're going to be doing the construction, finishing it up. 90% chance of rain. Hopefully, they've got most of that work done. Saturday, there's a 20% chance of rain. Sunday for WrestleMania. Now, here's the thing. All this that we put here, all this weather comes from weather.com. They're reporting a 10% chance of rain for WrestleMania Sunday with a high of 61 and a low of 50. Now, other websites like AccuWeather do have the actual forecast as high as a 30% chances of rain. So just keep that in mind that weather.com has a 10, but other websites like AccuWeather do have upwards of 30%. And then there's nothing else going on in New Jersey as far as WrestleMania weekend goes. 40% chance of rain on Monday, 30% chance of rain on Tuesday. But I just wanted to bring you that update. If you guys are flying out for WrestleMania this week, or if you're just going to be in town because you live in the surrounding areas, I wanted to let you guys know that Friday, be careful. There is going to be a lot of rain. And then later on in the week as well, Monday, Tuesday, there's going to be rain. So just be cautious. Bring your jackets. Bring your umbrellas. Try to stay dry. Try to stay nice and healthy. But with that, before we close everything up, we've got one more thing for you, and that's the Pro Wrestling Tees sale. Pro Wrestling Tees will be running their annual WrestleMania weekend sale starting today at noon, which actually starts, I think it's Central Time. So when you're watching this video, the sale should have already started, running till Monday at noon. The sale gives you 20% off all stores on the Pro Wrestling Tees website, including our Pro Wrestling Unlimited store. Now, if you're looking to get some New Japan merch, though, LIJ, Bullet Club, Okada, and more, the New Japan store on Pro Wrestling Tees will actually get you 30% off. All you've got to do is use promo code MANIA at checkout to get either your 20% off of all stores or your 30% off of the New Japan store. And on top of all that, customers in the U.S., if you spend over $150, free shipping to U.S. So with that, that's going to wrap up today's episode of PWU Daily. I want to thank everybody that watched the show over the last week, since we did start this show roughly a week and a half ago now. If you guys want to be a part of the show, you can do so by submitting your questions to pwunlimited.net/PWU Daily. We will be live tonight on the Pro Wrestling Unlimited YouTube channel with the PW Unlimited Wednesday show. On tonight's show, of course, we'll be taking your calls, but we'll also be giving our WrestleMania, I'll be giving my WrestleMania and my NXT TakeOver predictions on that show tonight. So follow us. That show does go live at roughly 8 p.m. Pacific every single Wednesday. And if YouTube messes up and doesn't give you notifications, make sure to follow us on Twitter at PW Unlimited and follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. So that way you know when we go live. You get notifications when we go live, when we post new videos, because I at least push everything to Twitter. I at least let you guys know on Twitter when things are happening. So again, go over there, follow us on social media, and follow us here every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific for PWU Daily. WrestleMania week basically starts tomorrow with the Impact Wrestling United We Stand show, and let's get everything kicked off. Have a good day, guys.